Okay, stop, Zach. I love you, but just no. No. Give up on this franchise. Just please. So, I broke my word in my review for Rebel Moon Part 1 where I said I wasn't going to watch Part 2. Curiosity killed the cat, and I watched Part 2, and I really wish I didn't, because... just, what is the point of these? Rebel Moon, right, was meant to be Zack Snyder's Star Wars. This was Zack Snyder going, this is my take on Star Wars, this is going to set up a whole, brand new cinematic franchise. I've got a really interesting, unique story to tell. And then you watch the films, and you just go, oh, these films are, about nothing, and they really just suck. Look, I like Zack Snyder. This is not me trying to be rude or mean to him. Just, these films are not good. It's really boring and generic sci-fi, filled with characters that I do not give a damn about, that are also just unmemorable. The overall aesthetic and design of the Rebel Moon franchise is so tonally inconsistent, because one minute it's all high-tech and futuristic, and then the next it's all rugged farmland, and then the next it looks like Man of Steel, and then the next it looks all modern and stuff, and it's so tonally confused. You look at the Imperium costumes, they are just Nazi costumes. I'm not saying that you can't draw from historical references. I mean, you look at Dune, you look at House Atreides in the first film, they are dressed in fascistic military uniform, but it's just, in Rebel Moon, it feels like no effort was put into it. It was just okay, cool, we got Nazi uniforms, let's just quickly change the logo and then boom, done, we're done. That's it, costume's over. Not to mention the fact that a lot of the aesthetics as well seems to be ripped off from Warhammer 40k. And for me, just the biggest problem with Rebel Moon is the story as well. The story itself is stupid, but also, it's not really about anything either. Zack Snyder has nothing to say with Rebel Moon. He said, oh, I took this to Lucasfilm and I pitched it to them and they rejected it. Yeah, I can see why they rejected it. It's not good. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make Seven Samurai but in space. But it's okay. But the thing is, the story that you're telling and the influences you're drawing from don't match. The whole crux of the story is about Sofia Boutella's character, who is hiding from the Imperium because she killed the princess and such. And then the Imperium go over to this planet because they want to harvest grain, and they want the people of the planet to give them their grain. But then also at the same time, it's the Imperium is after this planet over grain, and it's not special magical sci-fi grain. It's just grain. And then it's the whole force of the Imperium rains down on this planet, on this village, over a bunch of grain. And you're just what is going on here? It'd be like if the whole point of Star Wars was that the Empire was chasing after Luke Skywalker and the Rebels over blue milk. And you're what? Now, if you really want to defend Rebel Moon and be oh, well, actually, if you look at other sci-fi like Dune, they, argue over spice. Yeah, the spice melange is a plot device. Then even those movies don't really cover it, but the spice melange is incredibly valuable, it's incredibly rare, it's incredibly difficult to get. It allows the people in the world of Dune to travel through space, to follow space, but also gives them the psychedelic visions, but also keeps them eternally youthful. The spice melange is valuable and rare. But you look at Rebel Moon, there is nothing special about this grain, and so it's literally just this massive empire, this massive imperial force going down to this planet to fight a bunch of farmers over grain. And you're what? Not to mention the fact the overall, filmmaking and storytelling of this film is so bad. The first, hour is just them preparing for war, where they are just farming in slow motion, and it's Zack, why? Zack, please stop. Why are they farming grain in slow motion? No one cares. Zack Snyder came out recently and said, oh yeah, slow motion's cool. The reason why I use it is because it's just cool to look at. I'm yeah, in moderation. He's just yeah, it's really cool because it really emphasizes a really heroic moment or a really heroic shot or really brings importance to something. And I'm yes, Zack, when you use it in moderation. Before, you used to use it in moderation. Now you don't. In Rebel Moon, you're just slowing things down for no reason. When the characters are farming grain, they're not being pensive and methodical and really, deep in thought. In Shay, for example, Don't Even Loves Dune, there are shots of Paul Atreides in slow motion where he's all just, thinking and pondering and such. Zack Snyder is just shooting them farming grain in slow motion for the sake of it, and I have no idea why. And the writing for this film is so clunky. There's literally a scene where Djimon Hounsou's character is just right, guys, we're all around this table, let's just sit and talk about our backstories, and it's why? Where was all this stuff in part 1? There's another problem with the Rebel Moon films too. It's the first film is so bad that the characters, they don't really interact. It's they go around from planet to planet collecting one another, and then they don't interact at all. They get betrayed by Charlie Hunnam, and then that's kind of it. Then they're just yeah, let's go get the grain. But then also, they killed Ed Skrein's character, Admiral something. They think he's dead, so why do they go back to the farm planet to then just chill there and also prepare for war? I thought the trouble was over. What are they preparing for? But yeah, no, going back to the backstory scene, it's just so clunkily written. Jarman Hansen's just like, right guys, let's just sit down and tell our backstories. And all the backstories are like relatively the same. And you're just like, one, where was all this character development in part one? And two, why are we doing this now? Also, there are so many things in this film that are just incredibly derivative. Like, Zack Snyder, I just don't think should be writing his own films, nor should he be shooting his own films. I'll come back to that. Like, the scene at the beginning where the Emperor, played by Carrie Elwes, is executed. Oh, it's all Julius Caesar-esque. Not only is that scene ridiculous because there's literally, like, a hired orchestra just, like, in this room, and they're literally, like, playing the music in time with the execution, but also it's just incredibly derivative. Like, not only is it meant to be a reference to Julius Caesar, but also it's a reference to Game of Thrones with the death of Jon Snow, but also it's meant to reference Game of Thrones because of the Red Wedding. Like, Zack Snyder, I feel like, behind camera really thought, yeah, this is my Rebel Moon Red Wedding moment, but it doesn't work. That scene is just so silly and it doesn't work. You know, the Scottish Emperor guy that is Sophia Botella's father is just, he's not a threatening presence when he's all just like, do it, kill her. Do it, kill her. I'm like, am I supposed to be taking this seriously? But also, he's like not in the film at all. He's like here at the beginning, where like at the end of the last film I was like, oh, we set him up because he's going to be in the next one. But he isn't in this one. But yeah, going back to the cinematography standpoint, Zack Snyder just needs to stop shooting his own films. Not only is the shallow depth of field, like, absolutely ridiculous, but also the color grading is ugly. Like, in the first film, it's ugly. In this film, it's also ugly. It's really, like, muddy, and not in, like, a very pleasant-looking way, like, say, 300 is. This is just muddy and just dirty and just, it just looks horrible. Because Snyder isn't shooting on film, he's shooting on digital, it doesn't have the same effect as when you look at something like Sucker Punch. When you look at the visuals of Sucker Punch, the colors are very similar to Rebel Moon, but they pop more because they're shot on film. There is no film emulation in Rebel Moon, it just looks ugly and muddy and just... Zack, please stop shooting your own films. Please hire Larry Fong or someone else. Like, stop shooting your own films, please. There's like one or two things that are kind of cool, I guess. Like the light sword fight is kind of cool. Like the ship is like tipping, and then Sophia Botella, Kora, that's her character's name, and the Admiral guy, they're like fighting with the laser swords. Yeah, it looks cool, fair enough. But it's not good. The film is not good at all. Oh yeah, but also this film has like the audacity to end on a cliffhanger. It's all like, oh yeah, the princess that you thought you killed at the beginning of the film, no, she's still alive. And it's like, no. No, Zack, no, please, no more, no. Zack Snyder has come out and said, oh yeah, I've got plans to make, 4 films or 6 films, and I'm like, please, Zack, no. No, this is not your forte at all, just no. Also, Zack, what is it with your weird fetish for, like, alien singing or, like, foreign singing in your films? Like, just... I won't lie, that scene where Jarman Hansen's character is, like, singing in that language, it's like, this could have been nice, this could have been a cool moment, but also, I don't know this character, but also... It's just a little bit silly. Maybe it's the way it's shot, but it's just weird. It's like Jarman Hansen's character just, like, stops and then just starts singing, and you're like... Why? Why is he doing this? Look, at the end of the day, it does suck that the Rebel Moon films suck as much as they do. On paper, the idea of trying to create a new Star Wars, a more mature Star Wars in a sense, that's pulling from the old samurai films, but also trying to pave its own way, create a new universe, and also set up different stories and stuff. The idea on paper is interesting. It's just that Zack Snyder and his writing team did not do it justice. Also, similar to the first one, the writing is terrible. Again, it seems like him and his writing team just pulled out the thesaurus and then just, like, literally, like, picked every fancy word they could possibly find and then just put it in every sentence. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's along the lines of, like, oh, previously on, the Sophia Botella and Gunnar, Dario Naharis from Game of Thrones, the second Dario Naharis, because both of them are in these films, but they're like, oh yeah, they went and they were attacked by the Imperium Galactica, Senator, blah blah. It's like, what are you doing? What is this dialogue? This is not interesting to listen to. Honestly, Rebel Moon Part 2, the Scargiver, yeah, that's it. Not good. Not good at all. Zack Snyder, I'm disappointed. Please move on to something else. Do not stick with Rebel Moon. Just find something... Do something good. Please, Zack. I know you're capable of it. You made Watchmen. You made Man of Steel, which I like. If you don't like Man of Steel, shut up. Shh. I like it. You made the Snyder Cut. You are capable of good story ideas. But just... Rebel Moon is not it. Also, in this film, when characters die, you don't feel it because you don't know anything about these characters. And it's just like... It's kind of pointless. Like, there are some nice moments here and there, like with the lady... I'm not gonna call her the samurai lady, but you know, the lady with like the two laser swords and such. Like she's like playing around with this kid and stuff. Like the kid's like trying to like, you know, mess around with her, and she just like outstrikes him and stuff. It's fun. I liked that kind of stuff. Rebel Moon itself is just such a dour franchise. There is no fun. When you look at the original Star Wars films, I mean, granted, I do think Star Wars is kind of overrated. I'm going to say that now. But even still, when you look at the original Star Wars films, there is a sense of fun, of wonder, of awe. Rebel Moon has none of that. It's just so devoid of any joy. It's just so dour and just... Nah. It's not a good film series. Zack, please just stop. But those are my thoughts on Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. What do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy it? I'd be very curious to know if you did. If you didn't, let me know why you didn't in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until we meet again, see you guys next time.